Hey everybody, this is Chris, Kerbal Space Program, episode 8.23, Career Mode. Here I come, Minmus. This is my first mission to Minmus with a manned vehicle, and I think this is the first mission to Minmus at all. It's tough to remember, I've done so many this week. So we are just doing a standard launch here, as always. I don't think at this point I have any 2.5 meter rocket motors except for the orbital motor. So I'm still using that, and it actually works to good effect. Is that the 2.5 meter tanks surrounded by the meter and a quarter tanks with rocket engines on them, and knowing thrust to weight ratio, using either Kerbal Engineer or MechJeb, you can determine whether or not you're going to be able to lift anything. And these rockets have about anywhere from 1.4 to about 1.8 starting thrust to weight ratios. So they are pretty potent for what they are. And now we're just going to go ahead and round out our parking orbit. I always do a parking orbit prior to going to Minmus or the moon, just because it's I don't have to plan the phases. It is more efficient, if you can do it, to plan the correct phase alignment and then launch at that time. And then you can, instead of circularizing, you can just burn to encounter. But that's a little bit beyond my scope, and I guess I could figure it out, but it's just as easy doing a parking orbit. It doesn't use that much more delta V anyway. It does use a little bit more, but not much more. So we are going to do our encounter, and at the ascending node I will change my inclination to match the plane of Minmus, because it is actually a few degrees off out of alignment with the Kerbal equator, so you have to do a little bit of an alignment change. There is a point where you can go to Minmus and not have to worry about your inclination, but there's like I think 2 points that happens, maybe the semi-major and the semi-minor axis. But I just go ahead and do that inclination change, and also I tried to incorporate the burns to the encounter whenever possible. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, depends on where it is in the orbit. So we're just going to ride this one out, and we will get to Minmus, and we'll do a landing, and this is a landing mission. So get a bunch of science. Actually, the science is really good. I think it's probably around 400, about 400 points if you do like the science bay, the goo containers, the thermostat or thermometer readings, crew reports, EVA, and sample. I have multiple thermometers on this. I don't remember what else I have on here. I don't know if I have goo containers or not. I can't tell from the videos. This is all post commentary, of course. So yeah, this is a long burn out there, and once we finish that, then we'll do our adjustment at the ascending node. I believe I have to do it in this case because I don't get an encounter from this burn. Even though it shows it on the map, it didn't, when I removed that maneuver node, it didn't show. So, alright, so I just have to switch over to the capsule, or the lander engines, which I didn't want to do, but just didn't have enough fuel. So it's not a big deal. There's plenty of fuel in this contraption as it is, especially from Minmus, because it doesn't take much to get down or up or away, because it's such a small body. It's not like the moon. The moon uses a lot more. So we'll just finish out our burn, and then we'll get to we'll go to the map screen and then do some fine tuning, and then just ride out to the change of sphere of influence. As you can see here, I don't have an encounter, but at the some point in the trajectory, I'll actually do the adjustment and make sure I get an encounter, and it just fine tunes it a little bit. And when you do it this way, you're actually benefiting from less fuel requirement because you're out of the influence of Kerbin's gravity. And we're just actually flying right behind the moon, so we could see that as we go around, and then we go past and then on top of Minmus, which is not usually ideal, but it worked. And like I said, I got plenty of fuel on this boat, so I'm not really worried about it. But we're going to go ahead and actually just go straight to a landing site. We're not going to set up a parking orbit and then deorbit burn. We're just going to go right ahead and we're going to land straight. We feel comfortable with this, and Minmus is probably the easiest body to land at out of all the systems, so I'm not really overly concerned. And I've done this before. It's not a big deal. I've done it on the moon. Instead of setting up that parking orbit, you can just go ahead and deorbit right there. So what I did at this instance right now is I will change the periapsis a little bit. I'll bring it closer to the planet, or close, sorry, not the planet, but closer to Minmus, and then I'll get to the periapsis, and then I'll do my deorbit burn there. So that's what I'm setting up right now, is a deorbit burn. And we were aiming for that flat area, which would be kind of like a lake bed or something. But it turned out that the mountain was higher than I thought, and I was too close to it, so I ended up having to land actually on the mountain in the dark, which I didn't want to do, but hey, at this point, there's really nothing I can do. Yeah, so instead of landing on the flat lake bed area or lava bed, whatever it may be, I ended up landing on the mountain prior to it. Not a big deal. It's there is two different biomes on Minmus now, so I think that flat area is actually its own biome, and then the mountain area might be highlands or something. I didn't even pay attention when I was doing the science. I just got the science. I walked around, planted a flag, and then came back. And I hate landing in the nighttime, but didn't have a choice on this one. Had I have been able to get over that mountain, I probably could have landed in the daylight, but I had to stop short, so unfortunately, then I had to wait for the daytime I wanted to at least wait till the daytime to do all the science and stuff and plant the flag, and so you guys can all see the surface. Now, probably in the very near future, I'll finish out all the science on Minmus and the moon, and there's already a moon base going up, and I have some future videos that I'll be posting of the construction of the moon base. But I don't know if I'm going to bother putting one here on Minmus. I may or may not, but I do probably want to put a science lab around the moon, and I already have one around Kerbal. So just kind of, I don't know, add these structures to the game, but everything that I add that's crewed has to be maintained because we have life support that we have to swap out. So not only will we have to take out carbon dioxide, wastewater, and waste, we'll also have to replace it with new stuff. Now, there are modules that you can unlock that will actually recycle some of that and turn the majority of it into waste, which is great, but you still have to bring new stuff eventually and take out the junk, or else it causes a problem. So you can't, in this instance, we can't really be willy-nilly about what we put up for structures that are crewed, because we have to take into consideration all the particulars that come with a manned space program, which is life support and removal of waste and stuff like that. All right, so we are actually in our deorbit burn now. We are ready to land. I had set up the maneuver node on the wrong side. I thought we were going the other way, and we were going in the opposite. We were retrograde orbit. So I had to quickly think about why I'm going the wrong way, and then adjust my maneuver node so I can kind of get my deorbit burn stats, and then we'll land. And we did 2 Minmus missions, so I think I was thinking about the mountain on the other one. But this one I couldn't make it to the flat area anyway, and I can't remember why now. If it was just that I was going in a retrograde orbit and I thought I was going the other way. So we are actually on our landing approach now, and we are not that far up. So I'm just messing with my velocity now and just trying to get it good, so we didn't crash into the surface. And no, that's it, that we landed, and we waited for the daytime here. So I'll get out and do a bunch of science, and science here is worth a lot. It's worth more than the moon, which is, that's worth more than Kerbal, and as you go into more difficult situations or further away from Kerbal, it seems that the science points are actually multiplied by that, and I would assume that has to do with difficulty as well as distance, because, but in that case, I think Minmus is actually easier to land and take off from than the moon. So I guess it's not totally a valid theory, but it is close. It seems like the further away the bodies are, the more points you get. And I remember when I was in .22 going to Duna, Ike, those were all a lot of points, but we were spamming them back too. We're not spamming. These are actually missions that will return with the science for. We're not going to transmit it. I don't even think these craft have antennas on them. Oh, I just remembered I want to plant a flag and do some final, like, we'll gather some samples, gather an EVA, and then we'll throw a flag down, and you can jump really high on Minmus. It's very, very light gravity compared to the moon. I don't know what fraction it is of the moon, and the moon's a fraction of Kerbal, so plant that flag, make sure everyone knows that we've been there. And you can actually use the flags to go, like, if you want to check out an area where you put a flag, you can actually go to it like a capsule or a probe. You can take command of it, I guess. Alright, and we're doing one Superman leap over to the crew cab here, and we missed the bar, so we'll do this again, smash our faces off the ladder, and we'll get back inside, and then we're going to do our return. So basically that was it. The rest of it's probably going to be a soundtrack to music that you might not like, and that'll be it. So we'll go ahead and do that, and like, subscribe, comment, check out my other videos, and let me know if you want to see anything in particular. Thanks.